with her so I can run the course. And she was like, okay. She said, I
Osama bin Laden.
that I can take over. So,
ISIS 2017.
fight me.
Subscribe to our channel for a free giveaway. We're giving away 2 boxes of pencils and 1 package of notebook paper. Subscribe to our channel and leave a like.
Man, Cody, you're so stupid.
Really though.
What if one day we actually became famous because of that stupid thing? You're like, yo, like, oh my god, I like zoomed out.
Okay.
Don't.
Is the video recording?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We are discussing amphibians. We left off, we had just finished talking about the skin of amphibians, which has several functions, but one of the big things skin can do is function as a respiratory organ. So we're going to move right into the respiratory system. Okay, there's 4 ways that amphibians can obtain oxygen, and they use any one of these, sometimes more than one at the same time. First of all, when they're young or in the larval stage, they do use the gills. Now, as adults, they don't have gills, so the gills would only be when they're in the larval stage, you know, frog when it's amphibian, or the salamander when it's in its larval stage. I don't use gills because it lives in the water. The gills do degenerate when the amphibian becomes terrestrial. Yes.
Can I make an announcement real quick to class, please? No. It's like really quick. It's about Bible. We don't have coach up today. We have
Yes, we know.
Yeah, we know.
It's a Marine though.
Yeah.
And
No.
What you mean and?
Oh, wait, yeah.
That better be and all capitals.
A and B, little a, little n, little d. You're familiar
We
with
have a
that, aren't
Marine
you?
stuff today.
Oh, yeah.
See what I did there?
Okay, the lungs, of course, do exist in the terrestrial adult stage. They are the internal organ for respiration.
It's not even funny. You're silly with you.
How come yours don't work as well?
No, he's not even worried. Your breath.
All right, guys, the lining of the mouth and throat is also richly supplied with blood vessels. And so those blood vessels, because they're then close to the surface, to the environment, they can exchange gases through that as well.
Sounds like a painful process.
It just is another way, because their lungs are fairly small, so it's another way of obtaining oxygen. And they use this and the lungs in combination.
What if, like, our blood vessels were really close to the skin right now? Would we be able to exchange oxygen?
Yes, yes.
Wow.
But our blood vessels are nowhere near that. We have several layers
I
of
feel like
skin.
someday
muscle, and-
they're gonna like make an extension or something, and like something that like lays over your skin, so like as you're doing your day-to-day life, like or maybe like athletes or something as they run, it's like that, so you don't have to breathe. Yeah, then they get more oxygen. That'd be awesome.
That was.
Yeah, I mean, our blood vessels are too deeply embedded though to do that. And we have several layers of skin instead of muscle. All right, and then finally, with the amphibian, and we mentioned this yesterday, is the skin. The skin can function as a respiratory organ, in particular when it's underwater. It does respiration. Because this is in the adult species, so they don't have gills anymore. So when they are underwater during, particularly during hibernation or estivation, those time periods, they use the skin for respiration. They can absorb the oxygen from the water.
Estimation where they put themselves in like mud and then hibernate for a long period of time.
No, Estimation is usually a short period, that's during the summertime. But yeah, they do burrow themselves into a pool.
Pass on your sneezing. So you can be swimming and your blood vessels get filled with the oxygen.
So then you wouldn't need a mask or a respirator.
That'd be so cool. You'd be a fish.
Aquaman.
Aquaman. Seems like you could be Aquaman. The greatest superhero of all time.
John Everett would agree with you on that one, he likes Aquaman.
Aquaman is actually very powerful.
Aquaman.
Yes.
Oh, finally. Aquaman could, he could like actually kill people.
If there was a war.
Well, no, but there are a few weapons that can actually. No, yeah, there are a few weapons that can actually like break Superman's skin, and Aquaman's trident is one of them.
Because he's super magic.
Yeah. Plus, Aquaman is like super strong because he's like in the depths of the ocean and he has to help fight pressure. And Superman is allergic to blunt force trauma.
You're just
Allergic?
Yep. He'll break out in like bruises and
Is this
broken
like
bones.
Mr. Sunday movie stuff?
It actually is.
I can tell, that's the way you say
Yeah,
it.
I'm imagining the pedals going through my head.
He's allergic to blunt force
It's this
trauma.
one YouTuber that used to.
He's really good.
Yeah.
take that back.
Alright, moving on to the circulatory system.
Film theory.
Do not want to work. It's thirsty.
The circulatory system. First of all, their heart is 3-chambered. Remember, the fish only had 2 chambers. So they have 3 chambers.
See.
What is this?
Nope.
No, like what animal?
Amphibians.
It's the same dude that did the, how however many ways different.
Yeah, that's what
that.
Okay, so they have 2 atria, a left atrium and a right atrium. The way that it works is the oxygenated blood that usually comes from the lungs and the skin, it enters the left atrium. So that's the blood with the oxygen. And this is red blood, there's hemoglobin, that's the pigment that carries the oxygen. So that's oxygenated. The deoxygenated blood enters the right atrium, and that comes from the body. It's been depleted of its oxygen because it's supplied the cells with oxygen.
Where are the tissues?
On my desk.
Where are my?
Now, they both empty into the ventricle. So there's only one single ventricle. There's not 2 separate ventricles. So both the oxygenated blood and the deoxygenated blood get pumped into the ventricle, which is the lower chamber. And then the ventricle pumps the blood through one single large artery. And then once it goes through this artery, a portion of it goes to the lungs and skin and is oxygenated. So the part that was deoxygenated, that portion of the blood becomes oxygenated by going to the lungs and skin. And then the part that was already oxygenated goes to the tissues and supplies them with oxygen. And then eventually they both come back, both sections come back. The oxygenated blood comes back to the left atrium, the deoxygenated blood to the right atrium, and it's a loop. It's all enclosed in blood vessels, a closed circulatory system. So there is that additional loop in the circulation of the blood where the fish did not have this because the fish only had 2 chambers, so it just went from the heart to the gills, then to the body, and then back to the heart. With this you can think heart to the oxygen, back to the heart, and then to the body. To the oxygenated by the lungs, and then back to the heart, and then pumped out to the body. So an additional.
Those people coming today.
Okay. No, it's not till next week.
That's next week,
Oh.
Monday, Tuesday.
They get here on Sunday, and then they will be in the building Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They're not actually gonna stay there, that's just so they have a place to move.
Okay, that was.
They're gonna stay.
Like Saturday? Like Saturday?
Dude, we should roll it.
No, that's just for during the day when they need some
Put it in
place
the
to
middle of the
meet,
weeds.
That would be so
discuss,
freaking
off,
funny.
and they're not in the
Like
building.
so flat woods, like they were gonna like, oh even. It's just like some like.
Cody, you know that in the far corner, like how you can go into the woods from there? Roll it back there.
Like.
Yeah, well, thing what? The far corner in the woods.
Oh, I was on the last one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Although we would've gotten a
I
lot of
forget
trouble.
today's that.
Yes.
It's chapel day. Jeremy Whitehead's going to be
And Alicia's.
Yeah, Alicia.
Yeah, I would.
I got some tea.
I think music has reached this.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. Still about the circulatory system, remember that amphibians are ectothermic, meaning they are cold-blooded. Their body temperature depends on the environment. So, if it's very cold, they do enter hibernation. So when the temperature drops, it slows down their body processes.
Bless you.
And they enter a lifeless state, especially during the winter time. It's just called hibernation. They will burrow into the mud and remain lifeless.
Keep them moist.
Yes, they do need to be moist, and they almost have like antifreeze in their blood too, because they don't freeze.
Bless you.
Because their heartbeat slows down, and really their circulation almost stops. It flows just enough for them to remain alive, but in a lifeless state. But they don't need food. They eat before they do this, so they have stored food. The oxygen they need actually diffuses through their skin. And actually colder temperatures can hold more oxygen, because that's the thing with gases. Gases are more soluble in colder temperatures. And so they don't need to breathe. They can just absorb the oxygen through their skin. And that's how they survive cold temperatures. And then once the temperatures start to increase, right, warm weather comes back, they will awaken out of this lifeless state and begin to resume a normal activities.
Gases can hold more than cold.
Gases are more soluble when it's cold. So gases will dissolve better in solution when the temperatures are colder. So that's why when it's colder, when the gas goes into their blood, the oxygen goes into their blood, more oxygen will go in colder temperatures than in warmer temperatures.
I'm just looking at like water and steam. If it's colder, it comes into the water. Earth, water, fire.
No, this is, you have to think of it as gas. Think of it this way. If you have a warm soda that's been sitting on a shelf, versus one that's been sitting in a fridge, pour both of them in a glass at the same time. The one that's more foamy will be the warmer one, because more of the gas comes out. It's not as dissolved as the cold.
We could be here.
Okay. Then in the summertime, because it's so hot in the summertime, they do have this period of inactivity daily, and it's called estivation. Okay? And they just find a nice cool place. It may be mud, or it may be under a rock, or something like that, but they get out of the sun and just rest. So this is not as lifeless, I would say. They just stay out of the hottest part of the day. They stay out of the sun, and then they come back out when it starts to cool off, when the sun goes down.
Last part was
Are you
nasty.
drinking a protein drink this time?
Those chunks of
Yeah,
at the
it's
bottom.
nasty.
I couldn't find the little shaker ball that breaks them all.
I'd drink something like that and be like, JK, it's chocolate milk.
Yeah. No, that ain't chocolate milk. I'll tell you that.
It'd be that frog.
Dude, that would be so good though. Have this chocolate milk mixed with the.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I
No,
saw
it'd be even
chocolate
better
milk, and I was
just
like,
straight
hey,
up
that's
chocolate milk.
It'd be chocolate.
Chocolate milk is that? What?
I know it's not, but
It
it
would
would
be
be
chocolate
It'd
squared.
be better just chocolate milk.
It'd be chocolate. It'd be chocolate squared milk. Stop.
I don't want chocolate squared milk. I just want
Because if
one
you had two chocolate, no,
I
it'd
don't
be
want
2x
square
no, two
squared.
chocolate milk. Okay, never mind. I'm trying to play math.
That's why you don't.
Wait. Yeah, it would be 2x chocolate.
All right. Anyway,
I'm just.
Frogs and toads.
yes, we're just gonna look at the differences between frogs and toads.
One's ugly, one's ugly.
That's the same thing.
Usually, sometimes they are used interchangeably, but there are some differences. Okay. Frogs, first of all, their skin is usually smooth and shiny. They are in the genus Rana, where toads are not.
You want you to think they're smooth.
They also live very close to water, if not in it. So their habitat is in or near water, and that's because of their skin. Their skin has to stay moist. If it doesn't, they can die. Have you ever found those little dead frogs in your house? They're like all
Yes,
dried up.
it
was-
They
it's so
get
nasty.
trapped somewhere.
I'm like, I'm not touching it.
Do you have
Like a lot of times they're
I
trapped
find
between
my
like a window and the screen.
Things.
They get stuck there.
Oh, dang.
I remember I trapped a frog in like inside of a cup so it can die on purpose. Because I didn't know how to kill it. So I was scared to kill it actually.
Dang, Cody.
So I was
Why
like,
not let
You're
it
such a
bring it
animal to
outside?
animals.
let it outside to live?
Yeah.
Or I could let it dry
Nah,
out.
just let it dry out.
Cody is soulless mosquito.
Just let it shrivel up.
Dude, I'm scared of frogs.
I imagine SpongeBob.
Okay, whereas a toad is has dry skin. It's a dry, rough, what we call warty skin because it's bumpy. And no, they do not cause warts. But it's much drier and rougher. They don't have scales, but that's the idea. Is that the skin is very different. So they do not need to live near water. Their habitat is on the land, and they only enter water to reproduce when they mate. Because the female does still lay her eggs in the water, and the male fertilizes them externally. But that's the only time they'll be in the water. As
Do-
adults.
Do toads? Wait, what do toads do during, like, frogs and toads do during the winter?
We already talked about that. They
Oh.
hibernate.
Yeah, I was. Because you never see them in the winter. You only see them in the summer.
Yeah.
I guess that's why they hibernate.
Okay. We gotta move. Switch.
Yeah,
We have some time, right? Oh, we got 15 minutes.
Everyone actually joke about
What?
something about you.
All right, in your book, we're skipping the frog anatomy for right now because we're going to go over that when it's closer to our dissection time, which I don't know when yet that's going to be. But I'm hoping to get it in next week. I just don't know if we'll be able to. We might have to wait till the following week, but it will definitely be before spring break. Okay. Reptiles. The last group of cold-blooded creatures.
Like me?
Except for Zach. Huh? Cold-blooded creatures.
I am a cold-blooded creature.
Wait,
Oh, you're a salty blood.
this is gonna be a dumb question. But if you was
Zach
like
lives in salt
no,
mine
no, I don't
to
want
replenish the salt.
Okay, reptiles. Reptiles.
they all do just they tear.
All right, first we're going to look at some characteristics of reptiles. Their skin.
Ugh.
Now, reptiles have a dry skin, right? Compared to amphibians, which are moist and shiny or kind of slippery. And some people describe snakes as slimy, but they're not. They have dry, leathery skin, cool to the touch.
You know how much about
Classic.
Swan, yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Oh, he does.
But these reptiles, like, reptiles. No, this kid has a room full of reptiles.
Yeah,
This
my
kid's
dad-
insane.
My uncle does.
What?
Cody, maybe you're the insane.
Yeah.
You know Spencer, his little brother?
He's like
He's like
obsessed with
He has a
it.
spade, which is like
dangerous spaghetti.
it has this room.
I want to get there. Like,
It's
you have
actually-
fun with that.
Yeah, no, it's still
You have
too
fun.
big, one of
It's
them.
Right, now-
Those Mongolian
Fun.
those lizards.
It's like
They do have scales. Reptiles have scales. And this is what gives their body texture. They are part of they cover a thick skin. They're made of a protein called keratin that is waterproof.
Protein.
Protein, yes. The scales of a reptile are non-living. Remember we talked about fish scales and they grow with the fish? Well, the scales of a reptile do not grow, and so what happens? They have to get rid of the scales, that's correct. So periodically they must shed or molt their outgrown scales, and then they replace them with larger scales.
is this cute?
No.
Do not insult Mr. Kipling.
Oh my gosh, she sounds
Dude, that kid's so cool.
What?
I do not associate
I do not associate.
It's gonna be long.
They still
Okay, so remember with reptiles, their skin is thick and their scales are thick and dry to prevent water loss. Unlike amphibians whose skin is moist, these guys have nice dry skin to prevent water loss. Because many reptiles live where water is scarce. And so this is a nice water preserving function of their skin. They are ectothermic, meaning they're cold-blooded. Their body temperature depends on the environment. So during the hottest part of the day, they do hide in cool spots. During cold weather, they will hibernate. They do sun themselves in the morning, usually. They're the most sluggish in the morning, probably. Because there are some that are nocturnal, meaning that they have enough energy that they bask in the sun long enough during the day, and at night they hunt. But then in the morning they're kind of sluggish.
I hate snakes sometimes.
A lot of them.
Could not tell. Because a lot of animals just kill people for no reason.
Like turtles and frogs.
Like snakes.
All right, we're going to look at the egg of reptiles, because it is much different than the egg of amphibians, or fish even. It's much different than water breeders, because remember, fish and amphibians breed in the water. So their eggs are soft and small, they're usually covered with jelly, they're fertilized externally.
Ooh, that's very
Right?
interesting.
They would dry up if they were on land, whereas reptiles do not lay their eggs in water. That would drown the embryo. So they lay their eggs on land. It is an internal fertilization, meaning the male must put the sperm in the female's body. The egg is fertilized and encased in a shell, and then the female has to lay the eggs.
Do people eat like that? You know how we eat chicken's eggs? Can we eat reptile eggs?
What about him?
I don't know who would
I
want some.
think turtle eggs, for some reason that in the Orient maybe, Oriental countries,
Oh,
they
like-
might eat
But
turtle
like
eggs.
what?
Not really too sure.
There's
It's a thing to like eat a duck embryo.
Ugh.
Oh, duck embryo?
Yeah,
Like
it's
actually
called-
eat the
I
embryo?
forget what it's called.
I've heard
It's like
the
it's like comes in its like shell, and then you just kind of like swallow it.
Oh, okay, so it's actual fertilized.
it's the Philippines.
Yeah,
The
it's-
Philippines do that.
The Philippines do
I
some
think
weird
it's
stuff.
in,
They cut
like,
dogs.
I really don't like
Well, they
fish.
make
Or at least I know
raisins, so
the Philippines. In the Philippines, they eat like like fertilized bird eggs. I forget the term for it, but they
Yeah.
heavily salt them, and they're like this they almost are like an eggy texture at that point because they're like a boiled egg texture.
Do they cook them?
No,
Oh,
they're just
just
fertilized, and it's got a little chicken.
Embryo, right?
and it's and they used to crack it open, salted like crazy.
Pull it down.
And they love it like a delicacy.
Yeah,
And you eat it because it has so many of them. They eat like a day or a week.
Oh, really?
So it's like a big
You're
eater.
like, big eat dog?
All right. The gas, the shell has pores in it to permit the exchange of gases. So that's why if it was laid in water, the little embryo would drown because water would pass into it. But the pores are small enough to prevent water loss because you wouldn't want the little embryo drying out in the shell. In the egg, there is yolk. We talked about the yolk with the fish egg, so it's the same concept there where the embryo grows atop a ball of food called yolk. And it uses it up as it grows. Now, within, and the diagram's on the next slide, but within the egg itself, this egg is called an amniotic egg, okay? This would be the same for bird eggs as well. It has all the same kind of concepts, except it would be bird embryo rather than reptile embryo. All right, there's these 4 membranes that are within the egg. First of all, the membrane around the embryo is called the amnion. That's where that's why it's called an amniotic egg. And this amnion protects the growing embryo. It also is surrounding a fluid-filled sac. So the embryo grows in fluid that is called amniotic fluid. Then, of course, there's a membrane surrounding the yolk called the yolk sac. And as the embryo grows, it consumes the yolk. So the yolk sac is also drawn into the embryo and gets consumed as well. Or might be just broken down and repurposed. The inner surface of the shell is lined with a membrane called the chorion. And you may have seen evidence of this if you ever do eat eggs, especially if you eat a hard-boiled egg. Like when you peel the shell off,
Oh, that stuff.
that membrane that you see, that is the chorion. Because like I said, all of this applies to bird eggs as well. And there's a reason why, if you do eat boiled eggs, there's a reason why the egg doesn't fill the shell entirely. There's always like that flat spot. That's the airspace for if the bird were to grow, it needs an airspace.
When it's not like that, is that white crack soup? Or is that just?
Well, you crack it because you.
What's like when you boil them and like sometimes they like kind of pop open.
How that peel?
Yeah.
You can like
The
peel
white stuff comes out.
And you can actually remove the shell of an egg without destroying the membrane if you soak it in vinegar. You can take the shell off and just the membrane will be left, and you can like pull it out of the vinegar and you can see like the.
I've done that. You can make them bounce.
Yeah, it wouldn't
Leave it
bounce.
long enough.
I was gonna say you have to let it, because if you did it right away, it would just burst.
Oh, that's nice.
But probably after a few days, it might harden up and get a little more rubbery.
We used to do that. So much fun.
All right, and then the last membrane is called the allantois. The allantois is supplied with blood vessels from the embryo. This is really where the respiration and the excretion occur for the embryo, because it doesn't, when it first is formed, it doesn't have those structures for respiration and excretion. So this allantois supplies the structures for that. It supplies the blood vessels for that. Okay, so most reptiles will not care for their offspring or the eggs if they lay eggs. There are some reptiles that give birth to live young, but those that lay eggs, they usually just kind of lay the eggs and leave them. They will, like if you think of sea turtles, what do? They lay their eggs in the sand, right? And then they go away. So the idea is that they'll put them in a nest and they'll cover them to try to protect them as much as possible, but they will not care for them. An exception is crocodiles and alligators. Crocodiles and alligators actually care for their young.
That's what I said.
They protect, the female anyway, will protect her nest. She will carry her young. Once they're born, she'll carry them to the water in her mouth. But, so they were the exceptions. We're to think about those creatures protecting their young. But most reptiles do not do that.
Snakes eat their eggs.
Snakes eat other eggs. I don't know they eat the eggs they lay. But
Why is their mouth
Snakes eat too much.
Because it's an unhinged joint.
Well, I know why, but it's like, why? Like,
They can
because they
eat
swallow
Cody
their
whole.
food whole.
Have you ever seen like the baby deer?
All right, you do have homework over the amphibians. We're going to stop there on the reptiles because I don't want to get started on the next slide. We'll pick up there tomorrow.
I wrote excursion.
I'm going to stop.
Actually, I think the next slide is just the picture, but the slide after that.
Let's see. Is it just 4 and 5?
457 on page 413. And that's about amphibians.
What is wrong with you? I don't know. What's your sound?
Over, you're amazing. You're not amazing. You're an awesomest person. That's the definition of
The
you.
brother that you
Alright, don't read the camera.
Is he your, like, is he the one that's top? No, he's one
I did not
He's
put
the one who goes to a study.
Okay, but you're gonna get an A, and then I'm So, you don't even have to study.
Don't even need this thing. You know what you need to do?